What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of D3 Yappers. We might be D3 runners, but we're D1 Yappers at heart. I am here with my fabulous co-host, Noah Tobin. I was going to say something else, and I was like, no spoilers.
And I am here with my co-host, I guess that's how you say it, Faith Duncan.
We have a very exciting episode for you today. We're going to talk to you all about the national championship from this weekend in Rochester, New York. Some side quests that we had along the way, exploring Rochester. Noah's debut for USATF road racing.
If that's what you want to call it, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big fun road race that you entered last minute. And then, we also have a personal update. Let me redo my introduction. I'm here with my fabulous co-host and fiance, Noah Tobin.
I'm here with my fiance, Faith Duncan.
All right. Well, where should we start? We had a really great trip in Rochester. We left, last Wednesday? Got there.
Yeah, we left Wednesday at like 9-ish o'clock. Was it 9 or 10?
9.
So we got there at like 5, 6 o'clock. Did you do a shakeout?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a really fun shakeout because I was like, I'm just going to do 2 miles. Actually, no. I was like, I'm going to bike because that's what I always do. And then I was like, I want to move my whole body, so I'm going to do 2 miles. And then we got to 2 miles, and you were like, we should just do 20 minutes. And I was like, yeah. And then we decided we were just going to do 3 miles. And then we were really close to 5K, obviously, when we got in the parking lot.
We got the 20 minutes, and then we were at like 2.5. And she was like, all right, like, we should just do 3. And I was like, okay. And then I almost got to the point where I was like, we should just do 25 minutes, which that would have just led to
because then we
30.
would have done 4 miles. If we decided to do that. Just would have kept building.
But that was fun. Next day
was
Thursday.
Yeah.
That was when we went to the running shoe store.
Yes, Rochester Running Company. We went to the YMCA first because
Right.
I was going to swim, you were going to double, and we both had our lift to do. So Josh took us to the YMCA, really cool building, really nice pool.
It was like this, it looked like an old school firehouse, like just like right on what Josh tried to trick us into thinking was Niagara Falls.
Professional gaslighter.
Yeah.
That's where you learn it from. It's from Josh. But no, it was really cool. We did our lift, and then obviously we had to check out some local coffee shops. So we went with Josh to check out this place called Ugly Duckling. It was really good, thoroughly enjoyed. And then we went to a bagel shop after to get some breakfast sandwiches. You did your double that day because you were going to work out that day. But then we went to Rochester Running Company, and one thing led to another, if you want to.
Yeah, Josh kind of found a race when we were at the coffee shop because it was kind of promoted around. And so we kind of looked into it a couple years back when I went on nationals trip with Simon Hayes when he made it to Birmingham. I raced a 10K, but like I used it as like a workout. So I basically were like, well, let's just like do that again. So we went to this running store and had some amazing talks with them. Definitely shout them out.
Shout out Rochester Running Company.
We always shop local when we go places because we always believe that that's where you should go. No hate on the big stores. It's just they have enough business where they don't need anything. So
yeah, it was also just really nice because I've been overdue for a new pair of trainers, and they were right there. We wanted to check it out anyway. Haven't been able to get to Buckeye Running Company in our area, which always got to shout out my homies at Buckeye Running. But yeah, this place was cool. So anyway, we go here and you find about this race.
And they were like getting really excited, hyping me up. They were like, you should totally run it. And they're like, you'll probably be like the fastest person not from New York. And it was really cool. Just the environment that they were like just welcoming us into their store and like talking to us like we were like 10 years experienced friends with them. Like,
yeah.
It was cool.
This race was also really cool because you didn't mention this, but I'll bring it up. It was actually the USATF 5-mile road race championships. It's usually hosted around the Niagara Falls kind of area. So, yeah, really cool. And it was also St. Patrick's Day themed. I think they were calling it, like, Run the Green or something. So my favorite part about the race, I think, is that...
Running of the green.
Yes, running of the green. The winner got, $500 in gold coins. So it was like a literal pot of gold.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to think about it, but I got 5th, and it was cool. It was a cool race. It was like an out and back with a downhill start, but it was an out and back, so that means it was an uphill finish. It also was like 15-mile-per-hour winds with like 32-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So
yeah,
one way was significantly worse than the other way. And I went out, like, the first mile was, like, all downhill, so, like, I didn't really need much help to run fast on that. We went out in, like, 4:46, which was good. My heart rate was, like, 149. Like, it was the easiest 4:46 mile I ever ran, like, in my life. And, like, I came through the first 2 miles, and I was, like, 10th place. And then the last, like, mile and a half with, like, it being all uphill, I just, like, caught so many people, and I was able to get 5th.
It was really fun to watch. That wind was brutal, though. Like, this was actually... So, Thursday, we thought you were going to do your workout. Then you found out about this race that was on Saturday. So, things got moved around. So, you ended up just doing, like, a normal double easy run with me Thursday, which was my pre-meet run because I raced the 5K Friday. And then Saturday, I had the 3K, but your race was in the morning. So, it was a really, really fun way to spend the morning. I got up, did a recovery swim Saturday morning, and then went to watch you. And that wind, I saw the weather, and I was like, I'll wear pants, but I'll pack shorts because it's going to be like 65 degrees. But the wind made it feel like it was like
the wind made the
40s.
Whole weekend like super cold.
It was so cold. I was standing there like shivering, but I was yelling at you when you came past me at like a quarter mile into the race, like draft. It's like a bike race.
Well, just imagine like going uphill like pretty aggressively, also being hit by wind, and like it was cool to see in my fitness journey that I was able to do that. And then we had a little mini workout after where I did like 4 by 3 minutes like at threshold, and I was able to do like 5 minutes pace like for every threshold rep. So it was a good amount of work. Got like a little over 7 miles worth of work, and then we long run the next day. But we had some races to recap and watch as well.
Yeah, so Thursday I had my pre-meet, like we said. We obviously had to get our Taco Bell going for pre-race. Just hung out, kept it chill. Woke up the next morning. I didn't have my bike with me. I feel like I'm like the neediest athlete ever when we travel because I'm always like, I need to get to a pool, I need a bike, because I'm generally a pretty low mileage girly, and I obviously like usually want to keep with like the triathlon training that I do.
Nah, but the first day of competition, you ran a shakeout while I was running my full run. You did like 3 miles in the morning, and then later on you did a little over 2 mile shakeout.
Oh yeah, we went to watch. We got to shout out JJ. Oh my gosh, we got to shout out JJ. We went to the facility. We
Borg.
We did our morning. You did your run. I did my morning shakeout. We ran with Michael Pagano. Shout out Michael, our SID, who came to get some media work done, do pictures, and he's gotten into running as well. Actually got into running last year when we were at Nationals for outdoor. But he's come a long way.
Yeah, we got back to the hotel and had to hurry up and get going to the track. It was like 9:30, and we were able to see Justin Chuga's first throws, and he nearly just missed out on making finals. He finished 15th, which is top 16, and top 16 is second team All-American. So we came away with the second team with our first performer of the day. Then Nathan Borgen and JJ Durr both made finals, and Borg started off hot with his farthest throw of the day being his first throw, which is quite unheard of, with a throw of 19.54 meters. And then JJ threw a bomb in finals, which is top 20 all time in D3 for the weight throw. He threw 20.14 meters, which is like his second or third time over 20 in his career, and that was a personal best. And he ended up taking the championship, starting the weekend off with a weight throw champion, a weight throw 4th place finish from Nathan Borgen, and then a 15th place finish from Justin Shuga. Some really good, solid stuff from our veteran weight throw squad. They're all seniors this year, and they all graduate.
Yeah, but if you guys want to be good at throws, if any throwers listen to this podcast, Dub C is the place to be. So contact Tristan Durr. He's your guy. He'll make you throw stuff really far.
Yeah, Dub C throws page
on Instagram. We'll tag him. We'll link him below for all the throwers.
Later, so now after that, we got some lunch, obviously, from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Shout out Simon Hayes. And after that, we were just relaxing and getting ready for the 5K. I know I can speak for her when I say this. The goal was just to win, and that was basically it. There was no intention of records or PR in mind. It was just, let's get the win.
Yeah.
And let's get it with losing as little amount of energy as possible, because tomorrow is going to be the pain train.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to dive into your strategy for the 5.
Yeah, I mean, how
it played out.
I never really go into races with like a super solid strategy, because in the race, like, no matter how hard you try, you can never predict how other people are going to do, where they're going to move. And people always say, like, oh, like, ask yourself how you're feeling and go based on that. And I'm like, never ask yourself how you're feeling in the race, or you're just going to be, like, a wussy the whole time. So I was just like, I just want to be brave, do what I need to do, just be knowledgeable about the field. Like, I know there's going to be girls with good kicks, like, and I know where my strengths lie, and just being able to grind for a long time. So just wanted to, like, run even when I made a move, make it big, and just maintain and be steady the rest of the way in. So, yeah, going into the race, honestly, I was kind of stressed. It was kind of like before OACs when we were doing all those events, like with the DMR, 5K, mile, 3K. You just want to get the weekend started, and you start that first race, and then it's just kind of like for the next 24 hours, you're kind of locked in. Because it's funny, I said this, and I think I put it on my Strava maybe too. I had a coach at one point after one of my races, like, tell me, like, well, now you've got another race to run. And I was like, huh? And he's like, it's the recovery race. So even though I was racing the 5K and the 3K, the like 24 hours between, it's basically that recovery race. So when the race finished, it's like, okay, let's get our pictures. And the whole objective was like, okay, let's get out of here. Let's shower. Let's get dinner immediately, hydrate, like all the things I've been learning from this season and all the times that I've had successful doubles in the past. Like, how can I make this turnaround as smooth as possible? But the race itself went really well, I thought. Evelyn Battleson-Gunkel was in it. She's always up towards the front. Penelope Green of Geneseo was up there. She actually took it out. Our first quarter was pretty quick, but I didn't find myself having to lead. I just kind of took over when I was listening to the rest of the field and felt confident in my abilities to move. And honestly, I think I might have gone... I literally thought of John Mulaney in the middle of my race. Like, did I go too big too soon? Because, like, with 3 laps to go, not going to lie, I was kind of like, wow, like, I might have to pull back a bit this lap, because I think I threw down, 2 or 3 37s in a row, and felt good at that point in time, but paid the price a bit the last 3 laps. But
yeah, really, it was... You did more than just 2 or 3 37s. It was it was a good amount. It was probably like a K's worth 37s.
So about 5-minute pace for like a K or so. Mm-hmm. I think I moved I think we had 12 laps to go, so halfway through the race. At one point,
you had 100 meters on the whole field. Your lead got pretty big. Like, they just kind of let you go. It was interesting, honestly. That was, to say the least. I felt like it was almost like really... I don't know, like we talked about it, like, I think there's a fear factor to nationals, and like the 5K is going to play out similar to cross country, because cross country is a 6K. So like when you're dominant over the longer of a race, like people don't want to kill themselves to sacrifice getting as high. So I mean, there's girls that can challenge you, and that will challenge you, but for how long, it just depends, because to a certain extent, it will affect their race.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, your last 3 laps, you're feeling really rough. I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that was part of the plan. But then you told me later that so I was a little nervous going into the next day. I was like, well, I don't think that would beat her up, because I mean 16:31 is like the equivalent on a
I think it was faster than I ran at Grand Valley on the 300 track in January. Not as good as December, but I think the other thing I was happy with in that 5K was like really just looking at cues from the people around the track. Like, I love knowing where you guys are going to be around the track, because I trust you guys, especially like you just being so knowledgeable and like your judgment. So like knowing that we had like the throwers and Tristan on the far turn, and like you guys on like the home stretch turn, and Corey Cockrell kind of on the other side of the corner, like just being able to watch you guys and know like, okay, are there people around me? Am I good? Like, do I really need to press here? Should I throw in a surge? And I think watching you every lap and kind of seeing like your reaction as the race was playing out, I knew if I was in a good spot or not. Well,
like my big thing whenever I talk to you or for myself is like, if you make a move, make it with like assert your dominance with your move. Like leave no hope for somebody to come with you.
We talk about that Galen Rupp
reel
all the time.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to leave hope. You want to dominate. And in a race, it's all about the psyche and the mental part of it. And if you can wipe somebody's psyche with just such a decisive move, like they won't go with you. Like my perfect example of that is me at the Grizzly Invite back in cross country. Like really good runner from Manchester, Connor Havens. I really hadn't proven yet that I could beat him. And I moved in an 8K race at like 3K, which is like, there's a long way to go. There's like literally 5K left. Like that's 3 miles left. But I just went, and I didn't just go. Like I probably dropped like we were probably running like 5:05, 5:10 pace, and I probably dropped like a 4:50 mile in there. It's major when it's like you're facing like people like Patska, Alex Phillip, or like Ethan Gregg. You're facing any of those guys. And if, like, you're not really known and you take a shot at them, and, like, not just a shot, but, like, just, like, blaze them, like, one lap, it could really, like, make people distraught. And so, like, when you take that element of surprise, I feel like a lot of people, like, nowadays, racing, they just kind of let the race happen how it happens and don't really try to dictate it. Like when I say that, I mean like people who aren't the favorites just kind of like, well, we shouldn't do that because that's not really smart to do. I mean, it's kind of like me in my road race. Like there's the guy that won. He's an Olympic trials qualifier in the full marathon, and he's ran 64:25 in the half, and he's ran 2:13 in the full. Like that's pretty legit. And then he ended up running for 5 miles 23:54. And so, like, that's 4:42 pace, which is, like I think, like, maybe 29:30, 10K pace, something like that. It's got to be pretty dang close to,
on
like,
that course, too.
To, like, 28, like, the 29 flat, almost, too.
Yeah.
Because, anyways, numbers.
Yeah.
But, so, like, he was really fit, and, like, I was leading the first mile. And, like, yes, I said it was the easiest 4:46 ever. But, like, my coach Ron was like, you know, like, I wonder what you could have done if you just went out in 4:50. And, like, he's kind of valid in that extent, because it's like, if I would have just went out 4 seconds slower, I know we're talking 4 seconds, but, you know, there's so much more energy put into to get that 4 seconds more.
Yeah.
And, like, the mental energy spent as well. So it's like, if I go out in a pace that I'm comfortable with, like, my overall race might be better, but swinging at the best, you'll never get a shot if you never put yourself out.
Yeah, sometimes you have to try, or, like, you never know. And I think that's one thing that I kept coming back to, like, going into this weekend is, like, I just want to end things knowing I got the very best out of myself. And so I think after the 5K, knowing I could do that in the 3K, I had a lot more, like, I was a lot more excited for the 3K, which is funny because I think more people view me as a 5Ker. But after that 5K, like, we were doing pictures, and I was trying to be polite, but I was like, okay, I really just want to, like, get out of here, get to the hotel. We got food, got in the Normatec immediately, and just, like, really tried to chill out. Next day, I made the kind of game time decision that I was going to do a recovery swim. I tried some different ways to shake out in the morning of races, like on the times that we're doubling everything from like the bike to doing a run. And I really thought back to last year at Triathlon Nationals when I had 2 big doubles. I did a draft legal sprint distance race and Olympic distance non-draft legal race on back-to-back days, and they went really well. Like, so that means one of them at the end was a 5K and one was a 10K, and I had swam really easy between just to kind of like shake out the whole body, threw some spunky stuff in. And so I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to get up and try to swim, especially because I had 11 and a half miles on my legs the day before with all the shakeouts I did before the 5K. So got up, went to the pool, and then my mom was there in town to watch, so we went to Boulder Coffee Company. Really, really good. One of my favorite coffee shops I've ever been to. I have to shout them out. And then I was eating my warm breakfast sandwich while I watched you race in the cold, gross wind, which great way to start the morning. Also, circling back to your race for the 3rd time in this episode, I think if it was 400 meters longer, you really would have hawked some people down. So. Oh yeah,
I joked with the guy that got 4th. We were just like giving each other shit. I was like, dude, I had you scared, man, because he kept the whole last mile and a half. Like, that's a long time. He was just looking back, and like he just had too much separation from earlier in the race. And that's what I mean, like, when it comes to like letting things get away from you, like it's funny, like Ron gives good quotes and good advice for both sides of it, because he's like, you might be running in over your head, but the group that would be next, like more achievable for you, might be way too underneath it, that you might be in this place of where you're going to be on an island by yourself. But in racing, you can't let yourself be in an island, because once you do that, you've already set up yourself for a long, hard day. Yeah. Like, you have to try to catch up to that top pack, because it's better to be with that top pack, throw down, and like get some good takeaways from like what your limits were in that race, than sit back, feel like you had more in the tank. I feel like that's my biggest regret when I've raced at the national level, is I feel like my first time I ran back in 2022 at cross country nationals, I ran like I was gonna get an All-American, and so I went out in 50th, and like I finished 56th. But like there was so much movement in the race, but you never see it because there's just so many people in the race who are also just as good as you. But the past year, I started off in like 190th, and I got 56th. So like 2 completely different ways and methods of getting 56. But I feel like if I would have ran with the same mindset, and like me and like Ron agreed together that we should have did that. If I would have ran with the same killer mentality the whole year and went out in like, let's say 20th, the worst I was going to fall back to was 30th, and I would have All-Americaned. And so it's like, sometimes you have to take those chances, otherwise you're not even giving yourself a chance. You're taking yourself out of the race, like you're not giving yourself a chance.
100%. And I think that's very much the mentality that we had going into this 3K also, where the 5K we were okay if it was a little bit more tactical, just again playing to our strengths. The 3K, doing that would require kind of a hot pace, and so again, didn't really have like a huge race plan going in, but knew that it was going to benefit me if the pace was hot, and so I would either have to take it out hot, but if somebody else did, great, cool. I was just going to kind of do what I did a bit in cross country, like find the rhythm that I knew I could hold, but that was going to really put the pressure on other people and hopefully break people along the way, and do the best I could for 3K. And I think that was, again, that thing that I wanted to find is like, okay, how well can you actually do? And shout out Evelyn Battleson-Gunkel, took out the race. We were through the mile in 4:58, and it was funny because I wasn't really watching the clock. I was just, like running, and I saw the clock and I was like, wait, was that the mile? And I was like, we definitely don't have another lap until the mile, because that'd be really slow. And I was like, wow, we're kind of cruising. But the second I just felt like the pace started to ease up, I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep the pressure on and keep trucking. And Jules Blaskowski, she's running really well from RPI right now, and she had done the DMR, I believe, on Friday. But I could hear her right behind me, and I kind of had the sense that we broke away. And again, just kind of like watching you for like cues on like how the race was going. But you would talk to me before the race. I don't know if you want to expand on this, but the idea of like the point of no return.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like my big thing, and I try to tell all the younger guys on the team about it. Like it's something that I know probably every distance runner has always probably like had a certain way of describing it, but it's kind of what I call the point in which you have no clue where that's going to take you. It's the point, like, you have to, there's a switch, I see it as like a physical switch. You're in a dark hallway, and you're starting to get to the point where you're suffering, and there's the switch. It's stay and just grind it out, like, right there in that pain, or there's the switch you can flip, and that's push past it, and then you have no, like, you're basically, it's making the decision to push to a point where you could fail, where you could lock up, you could die.
You could not finish.
Not die, but like our version of die is like actually start walking. Like you might push so hard, but it's like you never know what you're capable of until you make that switch. Like some people call that like a gear, like going into the next gear, and that's also valid. It's alluding to OACs when I said I came back from the dead 3 times. That's why I was so proud of myself in that race, because I went to the point of no return 3 different times in that race. And every time I felt as if there was nothing more to give after each point, but I've dug deeper and dug deeper. And it's where the expression that faith gives, like, I'm ready to bring a shovel and a pail, and we're going to dig, and we're going to keep digging.
Yeah, I think...
Like, we're going to go to the well, and we're going to keep digging the well deeper.
We talk about this all the time, too. It's like, suffering never sounds fun when you're, like, comfortable. Like, when you're at home, like, on the couch and stuff, you're like, gosh, like, that doesn't sound fun. But when you start suffering, like, when the gun goes off and you're starting to hurt, and once you decide that you want to, like, go a little bit deeper into that pain cave, all of a sudden it's like you want to see how far you can go. Like, suffering doesn't sound fun till you're in it. And then it's like, oh, this is fun to, like, find my limits. And I have this... There's this song by Gerard Way, lead singer of My Chemical Romance, and it's not like my favorite song or anything, but the title is Into the Cave We Wander. And I think about that so often, like going into races or race weeks of like, I just want to see how far into the cave I can wander. And in this race, like I knew Jules was right behind me, and I just had to stay confident that I was going to keep wandering and keep pressing and know that even if I got second, and I had this moment in the race of like, if I get second, if somebody blows by me, like I know it's my best, and I gotta be satisfied with that, because I'm hurting really badly right now. And yeah, I think some of my best races in the past, especially on the track, have come when I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this, and I definitely hit that point. Legs got kind of wobbly.
Well, and you ended up running 9:22, which is a new Division III meet record by 3 seconds.
Had no idea that was happening either. I like literally could hear like nothing during the race. It was so loud in there.
It's so funny because like I yelled it at you so many times.
I kept seeing you like cupping your hands around your mouth, yelling stuff. It was so loud, and there was.
I yelled all sorts of things, but when we realized what the record was, because when you came through 3:05, I was like, that's 9:15 pace. I was like, the national record for overall record is 9:13, so I was for a second I was like, well, if she feels good right now and just runs another 3:05, I was like, she could maybe close in a 3:03, 3:02, and then get the record. But I also was like, what's the meet record? And the meet record was 9:25, and I was like, oh, she could die a couple seconds each K. And so I mean, it was cool, and like I was trying to yell that to you as much as possible. But when I talk with like the point of no return and like wandering into the unknown, like I think of like whenever you race like a race that's not in our comfort zones. Like we train certain zones and we train certain like parts of our body in our training, and we don't really train the stuff that makes you successful at the 15, the mile, the 800. So whenever we run it, it's always using that. So it's like I feel like even though 3K kind of taps into it, because like you said, you went out in 4:58. What's your mile best this season? 4:53?
I think 54.
54? So 4 seconds off of your mile season's best. And that's how I feel when I raced 3K, because at Wittenberg, I think I came through the first mile in like 4:28, 4:27. And my fastest mile I've ran in my life technically is like a 4:20. And so it's like literally 8 seconds from my best, and then I have to still finish. And so it's like, it goes back to everything's just 400 meters. Everything's a mile. Like, you race everything like it's an 800. Like, you race everything like it's 400 meters below what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of weird, and it's an interesting way of, like, thinking about things. But, yes, it never sounds appealing to go into the pain cave whenever you talk about it. But it's only appealing and feels good when you're in it. Like, to the extent of, like, or right after, when you get the gratification of, like, I just did that. Like, that's crazy. Like, I picture what it's going to be like to run, like, 4:49 to 4:46 pace for 6.2 miles. Like, I don't know.
Well, and I think you've talked about this with your 5K, too, and, like, getting PRs and that. Like, this season, I think, for you was really cool in the end because, like, you PR'd in, like, every meet. It wasn't, like, a massive breakout performance ever. It was just chipping away. And so there were races that you, like, weren't satisfied with or super over the moon about, but at the end of the day, it's still, like, the fastest you'd run your life.
I know, it was, like, the weirdest, like, I don't know, it's like when you're, like, about to sneeze and, like, you cut off the sneeze, like, halfway through. Like, it's like, you got the sneeze out, but, like, it wasn't as satisfying as you thought it'd be. But it's like, you got the PR, but it was not as significantly as you thought it would be. Yet you're doing workouts that are boundless in comparison to the year
And
ago.
you're just running so hard
Right.
for, like, 1 second for these minuscule, like, marginal gains. And I think...
But it's also, like I said, it's like running the same race, but yet running it differently. Like at Grand Valley, going out in 4:31, which is like, is that 14:10 pace? I think so. It's like running a pace. It's like starting a race so hot and then being able to have the tank to finish just shows, like, okay, so my strength isn't really being able to run statistically super speedy. It's the fact that I'm strong. So it's like, once I'm used to that speed, like, for that distance, like, and I know what's coming, like, who's to say that I can't come through, like, 2 miles on, like, 9:05 and then just, like, I could crap the bed the last mile but still run, like, a huge PR.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, I think, just, like, on that note, like, I ran 9:28 early season at Wittenberg. Oh, I guess Wittenberg's a 300-meter track, but ran 9:28 solo 3K to punch my ticket and get in, had the top seed. It seeded me at, like, 9:33 with the conversion because nationals were on a 200-meter flat track, which was, like, barely the top seed by, like, a second or something like that. And I could tell you, I finished that 3K and I was like, yep, that was everything. I was lactic up to my eyeballs. My quads were shaking and quaking and baking. And I was down on the ground after, and I was like, that was everything. I'm really happy and satisfied with that. And I had no idea it was a meet record or anywhere close to a meet record until I got up off the ground and, like, I heard the announcer say something about it. And it made sense because that last lap, like, everybody was screaming so loud, but every time I passed you, all I was just imagining you saying was, like, point of no return, keep pressing.
I mean, the cool thing is, like, there's a 6-second conversion from a 200-meter track to a 300, and then I'd assume another 6 seconds additionally to that for an outdoor track. So if you're speaking off of statistics, like, statistically, the effort of that was 9:10.
Wait.
For a 400-meter track.
Oh, I was going to say, hold up. Because I was going to
track.
say, like, compared to that 300-meter track effort, I was like, that was so much harder for, like, 6 seconds. But
no, and it's like, that's why it's crazy. Like, you know, I ran 9:17 my freshman year, and, like, you just ran the equivalent outdoors on a 400-meter track of, like, 9:10.
I'll take that.
So it's like, no, that's pretty freaking good. I mean, that's what pace for a 5K.
I'm a communications girly.
Yeah, no, you're terrible at math. It's like 303 to 302 pace, which
So
is
add, like,
definitely
6
under,
minutes,
yeah,
like,
which
15-ish.
305 per K pace is 1525 for 5K, to put that in perspective.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, so we're getting deep into stuff, so that race right there just proves that outdoors, there's a really good chance of you going under 16.
Would love to go under 16.
Yeah, so it's like, it's cool, like, other races give you confidence for other races.
Yeah. Anyway, I felt, like, ill after that 3K. We did
Yeah.
awards, and then I went back
You
to
were
the...
in pretty bad shape, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of concerned for you.
I went back to that, like, athlete-only warm-up turf room area, and Ron went back there with me, and I sat on the turf, and, like, I was so nauseous, and, like, usually racing doesn't make me nauseous, but that day, and, like, after the 5K, I was a little bit, but I was super nauseous, and my head, like, it just felt like everything was underwater. That was, like, the best way to put it, and I just sat down, and he was like, you gonna cool down? And I was like, I just need to give it a minute. He's like, if we don't cool down, it's okay, like, just recover. And I was like, I feel like I just, like, need to, like, lay down and, like, maybe sleep for, like, 5 or 10 minutes and then go see Rhea. He was like, well, he's like, just sit down, just get some water. And I was like, I don't want to drink anything. I don't want to eat anything. And he's like, I'm just going to go fend people off. Tell them you're back here, like, with the girls or whatever, like, before we do pictures and all that. And so I just hung out on the turf. And then Josh came up to me to check on me after a few minutes. And I was like, I don't even think I had my spikes off yet. And it had been, like, a while. Or no, I had them off because of awards, but I hadn't even put my shoes on. I was still just sitting there, like, staring into space, like, I just need, like, 5 or 10 minutes. But got out, got pictures, and then by the time we got to dinner, I was ready to freaking munch. But overall, it was a good weekend. We got 2 titles, thanks to the people at Wilmington supporting me, and you obviously had a
The
great...
women's team got 8th, so Faith's 20 points gave Wilmington an 8th place finish, which I think technically ties.
What did the men get overall?
The men got 13th. They tied
There's
Wisconsin
yours.
Whitewater for 15 points.
Nice. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the next day we had our long run, and I think this also gives us a chance to talk about our fun new toys that we got at Rochester Running Company. We each got some new socks, shoes, and I got a new bar from Scratch Labs that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I got the Puma DV8 Nitros. They have like a fork plate in them. It's a Swiss...
It's a carbon composite.
Yeah, it's a Swiss Army knife shoe is how they were marketing it to me. And I really just appreciated how they marketed it. And I was like, I really just wanted to try a pair of Pumas. So I put them on. I really love the heel cushion it has on it and the drop. The drop that it has was pretty nice too. I felt like it really, like, if you're looking for a shoe that's not like super aggressive, something that has like enough cushion to make it a daily run shoe, but also a shoe that you could do like tempos in, it's the like perfect shoe. It has the plate, keeps you on your toes, helps your form. Like, it's a really nice shoe to just do like a moderate run. Like I can't see myself really ever going like jogging under like over 7-minute pace in it. Like it was like I averaged under 7-minute pace for my long run. Like it's like It is such an easy shoe to run up pace in, like just a little moderate in.
It is a 10-millimeter drop. I would say it's probably lighter than your other shoes you have, but that's also that's also what your Nikes are, like your Vomeros. Would you say the drop feels different, like higher or lower?
Feels higher than the Vomeros. It also feels better, but we're talking about the Vomero 17s. Not the 18s. I feel like the 18s are probably better. But I like the Pumas a lot. They're a really good shoe. Ron also got the same pair. The colorway that we got was cool too. It's like a reddish pink neon-ish color. It's pretty cool.
Ron and his bright shoes.
I
got one of my OG reliable shoes. I was looking for a pair of Mizuno Wave Riders because that's what's been getting me through this season really well. Really enjoyed that shoe, especially just having that wave plate in there, it's basically just a plastic piece in the shoe. It's not carbon or anything fancy. It's just to give the shoe a little bit of added structure, but not for like overpronation. I feel like that's just been helping me though with all those tight turns in indoor because my feet get sore a lot. But was looking for those. Came out with the Brooks Glycerin, which is one of my old favorites. And the second I put that shoe on, I was like, this is like a slipper. Like, I just love, like,
it's
fits.
It's the new Model 2. What is it?
Ooh, 18?
I think you're right.
Maybe the 18.
No. It's the 20. It's the 22.
There's no... Oh, my gosh.
It's the 22. I'm right.
Shoot. Am I thinking about high school days again? Wow.
I'm right.
Why did I even think 18? Wow. Oh, my gosh. I'm so old.
Can you say it for the podcast listeners to hear?
Okay, Minion.
No.
You were right.
You were not less right.
I was less right.
You weren't less right. You were wrong.
I was just straight up wrong.
Thank you for that.
Anyway, put that shoe on. Loved it immediately from the gun. We never got the girl's name who helped us, but she was very, very knowledgeable. Both people that we talked to there, the store owner and this woman who helped us, and we saw them both. Well, I at least saw her at the race again. She made a point to stop by, talk to me, see how I like the shoes. I was like, yeah, they're great. Love them. I've run them already. But yeah, they were super nice, incredibly knowledgeable. Like you and I talk about shoes and use terminology and stuff that a lot of people don't know. And I think a lot of times we walk into shoe stores and think like we probably sometimes know more than people there, but
they definitely knew a whole lot.
Oh yeah, like they were very up to date on all the new info and stuff. It was really great, really, really great experience there. So anyway, then we both got some socks as well. Helped out the store. They had some fun custom packaging on them. And then I was also interested. I've used Scratch Labs hydration a lot before, like on the bike. It's a very subtle flavor, sits really well. It just kind of tastes like some lemon lime water. But they've got bars now, like energy bars, and I've never tried them, but they had them there. So I got one to try for kicks and giggles. Haven't used it yet, but I'm really excited about it. It's like, I think it's got like 32 grams of carbs, which is really impressive for the amount of sugar it has, because usually you see a ton of sugar, and I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I remember thinking like, gosh, how did they get that many carbs out of like that little sugar? And it's 270 calories and not a big package, so you get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of energy from that sucker. So I think that'd be great for if I'm in the middle of like a 3-hour ride or something, probably revive me, or immediately after a long run. Anyway, yeah, really happy about the gear. Shoes felt great on the long run. The glycerin's a 10 millimeter drop for all those wondering. They've got 2 new foams that they're using it now. They've got the DNA Tune, which is supposed to be a little bit bouncier, mixed in with that DNA Loft. So both are nitrogen infused. But yeah, it's a shoe, like I said this as we took off on the run, like if you don't think about it when you're wearing it on that first run, that's usually how I know I'm going to like really enjoy a shoe. And I just felt right at home in it. Immediately.
I wasn't thinking about it either when I was in mine, so I totally agree with that statement, but all right.
Do we want to talk about what's coming up for us and then go into our shout outs? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, we can do that. So coming up, we have an off week, and then we're all over the place. We are hoping that it's kind of up to me, I guess, depending on like not up to me, but up to my times and stuff. So we entered me in Raleigh for the 10. We really want to race me at Raleigh Relays in the 10. We want to race Faith in the 10 at Raleigh Relays, and we want to take our buddy Simon there to race the 5K at Raleigh as well. But we're also bouncing around because there's a lot of good D3 competition and just competition in general at Wash U.
That was a fun meet last year.
And that was a fun meet last year. We went there. I ran the steeplechase there, but this year I would totally be running the 10K. I personally am fine with either. I know Faith would probably personally want to go to Raleigh Relays for the 10K. They have a really good like invitational like championship race there that's like really hot, and like it'd be just a good time. It'd be a good racing setting for her to run fast, and she has some familiar faces in there that she get a race, like Fiona Smith and Grace Hartman, and really good runners. Simon also could be successful. It would be really easy for Simon to run a fast 5K at a meet like that. Like Wash U, he would probably end up racing the 10K with me, just to like punch a qualifier. So Simon's already said that he'd be willing to do that, which is funny because he's like, oh, I'll take one for the team, and like I really appreciate that. I've been saying this like all season because like I'm a 30-50 10K runner, but I'm not a 30-50 10K runner. I feel like I'm way fitter than that right now. And when I say way fitter, I mean like over a minute.
Yeah,
but
100%.
I have not had the chance to really do that. I was injured last year when I ran 30-50, and that was at conference. So it's like...
Well, you were just coming back, and like you
I was just
been
coming
hurt
back
for like a year.
Right, and I PR'd by 5 seconds just coming back when I worked so hard to run 30-56 or 55 or whatever it was before. So like, it's just I got a lot of confidence coming in, and like I've ran really well, and I just want to keep on doing it. And I think it sucks because, you know, the D1 schools don't see my, like, progress. Well, they should be able to, but the thing is, like, D1 schools have the option where they can investigate, like, when you enter a race, you can put, like, a write-up in, like, when Ron enters me in, he could put in a fake time of, like, 29:59 just to, like, get me in a heat that people are going under 30 in. And he could has run 14:27. Like, all my PRs are from this season, so that kind of backs me up a little bit. Like, if we tried to do this last year, they probably wouldn't have even, like, made it even gave me a second look, because like all my PRs were from 2022, but now all my PRs are from this past cross season and from this past indoor season. So there's a good write-up that's written up, and like they can choose to look at it and let me in, or they can also choose and look at me and be like, well, like, we're gonna go off your 30-50, sorry, like, not here, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, I totally get it. Like, I really do understand it, and it's just how racing politics work. But
yeah. It's crazy because it's like running is a very objective sport with times, but it can still be very subjective in that regard. And I can say, like, from the more subjective lens and like seeing your progression as somebody who joined this team like a little over a year ago when you were just like beginning your journey back running after taking like a month pretty much off, like you're a completely different athlete now than you were then. So obviously, like Noah said, we're talking about Raleigh relays. I'm hoping to throw down a spicy little 10K there. You mentioned Fiona Smith. We saw her at the meet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we talked with her for a while, and it was pretty cool. And
I guess we can roll into some shout-outs. I mean, the women at D3 are really cool when you get to this level, and it's fun because we don't get to race them a whole lot just with where we're at and being from all different places in the country. So it's really cool when I get to see these girls. Shout out all those girls who did that 5K, 3K double. Riley Busey, Penelope Green, who we talked about. Evelyn Battleson-Gunkel, who took out that 3K hot. Also, Haley Shinergy had a great weekend. She won the mile and then came back like literally like an hour later and raced the 3K. And I believe she was All-American.
She was second team.
Second team All-American?
She was in contention the whole race.
Just really like ballsy to do that double. Sorry, continue.
No, I was just going to say, to have that, just all that, like, you know what I mean? Like, to have, like, all that in one day, like, you're right. On the national level, it's not like you're running that at OACs and stuff. Like, it's a harder double.
Yeah. I am going to shout out my Strava shout out. I do follow her on Strava, too. Evelyn Battleson-Gunkel of U Chicago. Just really fun to see her. We talked at Grand Valley about a month ago when we were both there for the 5K, and just really enjoyed talking to her. She's just a super great representative of the sport, and I appreciate her honesty. I think after that 3K, she was like, yeah, like the 5K was really tactical, and I knew that for me it was going to be best to take it out hot, and my coach told me to take it out hot, and maybe it would like scare some people off the pace early, and like it's not every day that you hear somebody that open with their race plan about that. Also, she did a really fun be-real with, like, all the girls in the 3K, or in the 5K, like, the night before, and just really fun person to hang out with. She's somebody who I wish I could run with more often, possibly. So, anyway, I believe you've got some shout-outs here.
Yeah, so I put down, first off, a fellow regional guy, I feel like I'm always going to butcher his last name, but it's Luke Witvliet. He's from Calvin. Got to actually meet his girlfriend and his mom. He had a freaking sick story. So for the first time in, like, at least since I've been in D3, which has been 5 years now. So for the first time since at least 2019, like, not just one, like one scratch was made in the 5K, but not only that, but like 4 scratches were made. So he was able to punch his ticket to nationals in the 5 after racing that qualifier the week before. So like it's one of the hardest things in running, to run a PR back-to-back weekends, and he did just that. Like, he didn't just, like, my biggest worry for him was that it wasn't going to go well at nationals, that like he used all of it to get to nationals, which happens a lot with people. And so it was cool. He was in 7th with like 600 to go, not to pour salt in the wound, but like it was awesome to watch. He just gave everything he had. He ended up coming short, getting 10th, but like the difference between 10th and 8th was like not a lot. And he PR'd by 2 seconds, and it's like crazy story for him. Really happy for him. He like literally drove down to Tennessee from Granville, freaking Michigan for spring break. And then on their way down there, like, his girlfriend was like, did you see this? Like, there was 4 scratches. Like, you made nationals. Like, you got to go back up. So they got back to Tennessee. He did a run down there. And then he literally caught a plane ride back to Granville. And then they traveled with the team. So, like, also a lot of traveling on his, like, body. Like, it's got to be hard. Especially being in Tennessee. I'm pretty sure there's a time change when you go into Tennessee.
Oh, gosh.
So, like... going through all that is like crazy.
You're a picture of health right now.
It's just a cough. And anyways, it was just really cool to see him so close to getting, like, making this huge, like, it was still a great day for him. Like, it was really cool to watch. My other shout out is my fellow Tobin brother from NYU, Ryan Tobin. We met back in 2022 when we both made nationals for the first time, and we share the same last name. I don't think we're related, but I'm going to say we're related because why not? Anyways, he was really cool, my brother from another mother, and he, in both races, ran his ass off. Like, sorry for the choice words, but there's no other description of it. And he doubled so well, especially it being, I want to say this was the first time he was able to double at a national meet, because I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Ryan. But anyways, he doubled. I forget what he got in the 5K, but he hung up there for as long as he could. And I want to say he got like 14th or something. I'm not super sure, but he was up there with the top pack until very close to the end. Then day 2, which especially after having that kind of race and like coming up short from, what your goals are, and then going into the next day, it's kind of like demoralizing. Like, it's easier to lock in, but also you kind of have a cushion if you have an All-American going into day 2. But so he comes back into 3K and he runs, I want to say 8:15 and gets, I think, 9th or 10th. I think he got 10th. And the same story with like Luke. Like, he literally in the 3K, he was making moves the whole race and passed really good quality athletes, some of the best. Like, I think one of them was Gunnar Slender, and like Gunnar or Adam from Wisconsin Lacrosse, like both, like, he's a steeplechase like All-American, like really good guys, skilled in this event, and like they just had that kick at the end. Same story, like he put himself in there and like he came up short, but he still PR'd in the 3K after running a 5K the day before on the national level. That is insane. I mean, that's literally what Faith did, and like that's something that like it's really hard to do at this level, especially at those type of meets, because nothing less than your best is expected on both days, and to have a PR after a longer race, like, it's just kind of crazy. So yeah. Shout out to Ryan Tobin and Luke Witvliet and Evelyn Battleson-Gunkel.
Any further yaps, or what was our mantra or things we lived by this week? All I can think of, you know what I'm thinking of,
is trip calories aren't real calories. Is that what you're thinking?
No, but that's valid. That is valid. When you're traveling,
when you go on vacation, like, food and calories, it's not real.
Dude, I swear you just burn through everything. Like, always hungry, always... Anyway, we're also just going and, like, training the whole time. I'm about to sing.
Oh my gosh, stop. No.
I've got the magic in me. Every time... I'm going to stop there. Yeah. That was stuck in my head the whole weekend, and it was kind of my race mantra. Very musically motivated. Do we have any other fun mantras or things to expand upon that are maybe deeper than B.O.B. featuring reverse Pumas?
No, I think that's it.
That's how we're gonna end it. Okay.
Yeah, Faith singing with her beautiful voice.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you on the flip.